Multivariate probability systems have become quite common in today's gaming ecosystem. If you look for any gacha game, you're bound to find progression systems tied to many layers of RNG, where you have a chance to have a chance to have a chance to unlock a character or reach a certain milestone. Capcom, I really doubt you're watching this, but this is what I have to say to you. You don't need these systems to deliver a successful game. You can simply focus on delivering a satisfying experience like you've always have.
Hey, so, I think Capcom didn't watch the video, guys. I'm not sure, but, what do you think? Alright, so I suppose that you can tell from the title of the video that I don't like the possibility of RNG talismans in the game. And no, I don't think that they did this out of spite. I am obviously exaggerating. Now, I am not here to try to convince anyone to think in any particular way. All I can do is voice my opinions and show you guys where I'm coming from. There's a particular video that, to this day, is vital to understand how some of these decisions are made. I figured that before making any judgments, I can share the information that I have about this topic with you guys, and then you can make of that what you will. But at least, that would make for a more informed opinion than if you didn't know about this. So, there's this video called Let's Go Whaling. I remember the first time watching this video, and the feeling I got from it can only be described as the feeling you get when you discover that Santa is not real, and that there's no tooth fairy. It was lifting the veil on something that, well, for the most part, companies try to keep hiding from the consumer. In this video, we can see a mobile game developer sharing all the tips and tricks they use in order to monetize their games and to increase the variety of ways in which specific design decisions can increase retention and manipulate the player into engaging with behavior that might be against their best interests. Let me show you a couple of excerpts from the video without any context.
It is about a summary of a huge bunch of behavioral psychology. Some of you will probably be slightly shocked by all the tricks I have listed here, but I'll leave the morality of it out of the talk. We can discuss it if we have time later. The reason to give a really good deal up front is by making people spend up front, they are also emotionally committing to your game, their retention will go up. Gachas, who hasn't heard of gachas? These are great for again, both monetization and retention because people like the lottery part of it. If you want to look up Skinner box to know why. You get more content because people cannot immediately progress to the stuff they want. They have to keep trying a few times. So it really takes like 5 times as long to get the collection that they need compared to just progressing and collecting soft currency and buying it straight off. Social proof. So this is, we are herd animals, we tend to do what all the others do. This means that you should have the socially accepted way of behaving in your game should be paying. Absolutely do not want to tell them that the majority of people in your game never spend money. That's poison. Never tell them that.
Alright, so from what you can gather, this video is heavily focused on monetization. But if you think paying the company directly for different types of content is the only way that they can make money, you would be disregarding so much of what goes on in the industry. As mentioned in one of the clips, gachas are a great way of increasing player attention. And retention can be an incredibly powerful tool to make profits out of your time. Slot machines that give you collectibles or even trading card games that sell you card packs with random cards are examples of models that were made to avoid giving the consumer what they want directly. It is very easy to disregard the frustration that can come from systems like these because they are quote-unquote fair. It is just luck. It is not something that was made so that you can control it. And by doing so, you as the consumer are a lot more willing to be flexible about it. If you think something like player retention is not such a big deal, well, all I can say is that there are games out there that live and die by their retention. Live service games. Things like MMOs and seasonal content type of games like World of Warcraft, Fortnite or League of Legends. These games really have something to prove with their player retention, because that is one of the biggest metrics that will determine whether or not investors will then decide to put money on these games. Player retention has become like the KPI of video games. For context, KPI stands for Key Performance Indicators, and it's a type of metric that companies in many different fields of work implement on their performance evaluation systems in order to determine whether or not an employee is doing a good job. People with good KPIs usually get bonuses. People with bad KPIs can expect a not-so-friendly call from HR. One big problem of KPIs is that they tend to create a fixation on the elements that can give you a good performance evaluation, meaning that people will often find shortcuts and ways to sometimes even sacrifice the quality of their work if that means that they are hitting these KPIs on the right spot. One such example of that happening was in World of Warcraft during the Legion expansion. They doubled down on the different ways to make daily and weekly content, and they made a system with exponential and limitless growth with the artifact weapon system. The way this worked was that you had a special weapon that you could feed with different rewards to increase its power level, and it had no level cap. You could do this forever if you wanted. On top of that, you also had the legendary equipment system, which was an RNG-based system where you could get one of many extremely powerful items. But even then, there was no guarantee that these legendary items were actually going to be a good fit for your character. What we ended up having was an ecosystem that rewarded the idea that you had to log in every day, every week, and repeat every type of content as much as possible. Because everything gave you progression in this format. So, when the players were extremely burned out and complained to Blizzard about this, they just responded, "What do you mean you don't like the game? Don't you see that our retention levels have never been so high? The game is doing great!" I mean, of course, based on your metrics, based on the KPIs that favor the industry today, based on how much attention you've garnered from investors. Sure, the game is doing great. But that never meant that the players were having a positive or satisfying experience. And I say all of this, even when Legion was probably my favorite expansion. With all of this in mind, I hope you already see where I'm going with this. Say again, what was the franchise that has been trying to incorporate this type of design more and more into their experience? To the point that it is difficult to tell if it is a live service game or a standalone game. You know, adding daily rewards, seasonal and time-gated content, and extreme amounts of RNG. Oh, yeah, it's Monster Hunter, my favorite fucking franchise. Enter Title Update 3 and the possibility of RNG fucking talismans. You can correct me in the comments, but wouldn't that make this the first Monster Hunter title to have all the RNG systems? RNG decos, RNG weapons, and now RNG talismans. As I said, I am not here to convince anyone of anything. You can do whatever you want. That said, it is an undeniable fact that this type of design was manipulative from its inception, and it has been proven time and time again that it works. It works in favor of the companies. If you're the type of person that likes to say, "Oh, but I like having something to chase, I like having the carrot," believe me, I get the appeal behind that. But when instead of putting the carrot in front of you, they tell you, "Listen, if you run 5 kilometers on the treadmill, you'll earn a chance to get a carrot." And so you go, you run 5 kilometers, and then they say, "Oh look, you got the tip of the carrot." Or, "Oh wow, instead of the carrot, you get a cabbage. Nice." If that happens, and you don't get at least slightly annoyed by it, I guess you have to work on your self-respect. And if you're like, no, but I like getting rewards like that," well, then I'm afraid that you have terrible standards. But that's fine. I was like that once too. You never really think that you might be being manipulated into engaging with this type of behavior, and the truth is, it is not your fault if you think this type of thing is normal. Remember what the guy in the video said about the Skinner box? You can look into it with more detail if you want, but for context, it is a well-known behavioral psychology experiment that was conducted in rats and birds, and it's been proven to work in mammals, such as human beings. The core elements of this concept are as follows. You put a small animal in a cage, and that cage has a set of levers. Because you want the animal to engage with these levers, you will reward them with food when they pull these levers. Now, you want the animal to only use the lever under specific conditions. So, you put some lights in the cage that signal when should the animal pull the lever. In short, green light turns on, animal pulls lever, they get a little treat. After a couple of attempts, the experiment has successfully managed to condition the animal into engaging with the levers when the light turns on, and the animal has learned to expect the light to mean an opportunity to get food. There's many variations of the way that they use this experiment to explain positive reinforcement and the impact of rewards to incentivize behavior. There's a specific variation though, that had the experiment turn on the light, but then the pulling of the lever wouldn't guarantee the reward. Meaning, the animal gets mixed signals. They understand that pulling the lever can lead to getting food. But the part where they start to get a bit desperate is when pulling the lever doesn't guarantee that reward. This would make the animal extremely responsive to the green light, pulling the lever multiple times when the light turns on in a desperate attempt to get food. This was the beginning of the understanding of the behavioral psychology behind gambling. You know there is a reward, you just cannot control when you get it. So, you chase. And you chase. And you chase it indefinitely. It's not like there's any fun to be had by engaging in this behavior. You simply do it because there's something that you want and you're not getting it. But your brain has been wired to think that repeating the same action can lead you closer to it. So when people say that they like the chase, do they really like it? How can we really know that you have consciously found the value behind these systems on your own? Or you were simply conditioned to like this? So yeah, if that's a new endgame system they want to add, it's a big fucking disappointment for me. It's so stupid too, because I was literally screaming my lungs out while looking at all the new content that we'll have for the title update 2. Lagi and Steve look so good. On the news on optimization is something extremely welcomed. I was so happy that we were finally reaching a high note in what has been some pretty negative weeks. And now, we have this. I'll still check out the content. Not everything is about the loot in this game for me. I just really fucking love Monster Hunter. It offers me an experience that I cannot find anywhere else. When I raise these concerns, it's because I see in things like the RNG talismans a design decision that has the potential to be so detrimental not only to my experience, but to the experience of many other people as well. But I mean, fuck, if we're getting this, it is probably because people wanted something to chase after, and they pointed it out on the feedback. So, anyway, I really hope you can see where I'm coming from. The people who know me know that I love this game to autistic degrees. But I can already see the comments of people trying to defend this bullshit. They will completely disregard this segment at the end where I insist that I truly want what's best for the franchise, so that it can guarantee a satisfying experience for the consumer, or for the community, I guess. That is my only intention. It is what it is. I already said I'm not here to convince anyone. Please go watch this video. It is extremely educational for all the wrong reasons. In fact, I dare you to watch the video and see if you've managed to stay away from even a single one of these practices shown in there. I'm willing to bet money on it. You haven't. It is the way the industry works these days. Which is why I think it is all the more important that people are aware of these type of things. Anyways, just wanted to put this out there because, well, thought it could be useful for someone. As always, my name is Sun. See you around.